5 on your side at 10 starts now.
A problematic plant under the microscope of the EPA.
They found some pretty high levels of contamination in the soils.
Tonight, the concerning review of contamination cleanup efforts in St. Charles.
The threat for flash flooding is over tonight. Now the heat ramps up and so does the humidity. I'm looking ahead to a very steamy weekend.
Our top story, neighbors concerned for their safety in their own homes.
It hurts to hear my granddaughter say, Nanny, I don't want to come over your house because I don't want to hear those gunshots, so I'm scared I'm going to get shot.
Their plea to city leaders. We've been following the ongoing safety concerns for weeks now. Tonight, a call to action. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. As neighbors from the troubled Arlington Grove apartments voice their frustrations, 5 on your side's Brent Solomon explains local and state leaders are offering a listening ear.
Well, drugs, prostitution, teens openly carrying guns. The idea here is not to just hear about these problems, but to come up with solutions for that North St. Louis apartment complex and the neighborhood around it. Here in the Wells Goodfellow neighborhood sits the Arlington Grove apartment complex.
I heard gunshots all day. I heard gunshots every night.
Neighbors addressing local and state elected leaders Tuesday evening.
My grandchildren are not allowed to play in the playground in Arlington Grove because we do have young men walking around with military-style guns.
You have residents with bullet holes in their windows and their walls, and nobody want to live like that.
Precious Jones with Mamas Against Homicides organized a call to action at the St. Paul AME Church.
In the city, we often feel like we're fighting with 2 hands tied behind our backs. We are preempted at the state level from passing any legislation that has to do with guns.
So, Board of Alderman President Megan Green wants to see more city funding for the Office of Violence Prevention and community-based groups. She points to a reduction in crime because of it.
Do we still have a long way to go? Yes, we do, but we are making really good strides, and it's because we're putting real investments into community and trying to address the root causes and not just locking folks up.
State Rep Dale Taylor criticizing state leaders for cutting funding to mentoring programs,
which directly addresses what are these young men doing, what are their role models, what are they doing on Saturdays. I'm not exactly sure what success we're going to have in next year's budget, but we'll keep fighting, we'll keep working on that.
It hurts to hear my granddaughter say, Nanny, I don't want to come over your house because I don't want to hear those gunshots, so I'm scared I'm going to get shot.
Last month, apartment managers told us they are committed to ensuring safety. Tonight, Green and State Rep Carla May said they'd write a letter to management to find out what that safety plan will look like.
This afternoon, a downtown downpour led to some flooding headaches for drivers. Cars were stranded across the city after heavy rain hit the area. Here's what it looked like near Tucker and Choteau as the road became covered in water.
And take a look at this. Not that easy to see, but it's video from a Rockies broadcaster showing the Rockies dugout at Busch Stadium filled with water. The grounds crew frantically tried to get the water out before the game tonight. And now to a live look over at Busch Stadium. They were able to get the game going with no problems or delays. Just a little extra water in those dugouts and some wet seats.
Meteorologist Jim Castillo tracking the downpour all day.
So, Jim, how much rain did we see, and are we done now?
Yeah, for tonight, there's only a couple lingering showers out there, but it depends on where you were. So even at Lambert, about 1,400ths of an inch of rain. So not much there. But then you look at Granite City, and one of the totals I was checking into, 1.78 inches, and then also Highland, Illinois, 2.49. But you get to around just to the west of Edwardsville, 2.4, at least the radar estimated, all the way down to Granite City, and then Catawissa, all the way to the northwest of Cedar Hill and Jeffco, and also northeastern Franklin County, up to 4 inches of rainfall, and even around Wentzville, 1 to 2 inches of rain. So tonight, the current Doppler radar showing lightning in Indiana. For us, all of that storm activity is starting to weaken quite a bit. Haven't really seen a lightning strike in the last half an hour, but Marthasville may be a real quick shower there. But coming up this weekend, high heat and humidity, much more, and how high these numbers will go coming up.
For almost an hour, Interstate 70 was closed at Salisbury today due to the flooding, and at one point traffic was stopped. All of the water has since receded and the road is open, and it's never a good idea to drive through high water. Remember to turn around, don't drown.
Developing tonight, the legal battles over abortion in Missouri. The Missouri Supreme Court today refused to hear Attorney General Andrew Bailey's request to reinstate restrictions in the state. Instead, the High Court ordered him to turn to a state appeals court. Bailey was hoping the Supreme Court would block an injunction allowing surgical abortions to resume in Missouri. Bailey says that judge abused her discretion, but the Supreme Court unanimously told him he should not have skipped the appeals court. Planned Parenthood commented on the ruling, saying, quote, today's opinion from the Missouri Supreme Court affirms what Missourians voted for, their right to access abortion in our state. Andrew Bailey also responded, saying, in part, today's procedural ruling is disappointing but not surprising. This case goes beyond one county or one courtroom. It's about the values of the entire state.
Tonight, a 14-year-old is recovering after an accidental shooting this afternoon in the West End. It happened around 5 on Cabanee Avenue. Police tell us children were playing with a gun when it went off and hit the 14-year-old girl in the arm. She's expected to be okay. Police arrested a 15-year-old. A Clinton County deputy saved a woman from a burning car yesterday, and it was all caught on body cam. A warning, this video could be disturbing. A head-on crash on new U.S. Highway 50 near the Flat Branch Road overpass led to this car bursting in flames. The officer attempted to extinguish the fire, but it was empty before the flames were out. He had no choice but to pull the passenger out from the back passenger door and take her to safety. All drivers and passengers in the crash are expected to be okay.
In Springfield today, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the Sonia Massey bill requiring sweeping reform and how police officers are hired. Massey was shot and killed after calling 911 for help last summer. Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson is accused of murder, but claims he acted in self-defense. He had a record of DUIs and misconduct at other departments. The new law requires police to thoroughly investigate officers before hiring them, and that includes looking at their disciplinary records.
Everybody wants to be a policeman, but they don't want to do the work. And some politician or somebody's cousin or somebody that goes to church with so-and-so, they give them a job. And it's really hurting law enforcement because some of these people do things that reflect on all of us.
The bill takes effect immediately, meaning every police hire from today forward must go through this tougher vetting process. Well, since the 1980s, the Environmental Protection Agency has been working to clean up a Superfund site in St. Charles right next to the city's main drinking water source.
But a recent review by the EPA has shown the cleanup has not been as effective as they had hoped. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski digs into the documents.
Mike and Kelly, the good news is the drinking water is still safe, but this recent review shows the contamination is getting closer, continuing to concern residents.
In the 1960s, the Findec Corporation, a fluid reprocessing plant, opened up in St. Charles near Elm Point Road and Governor Drive. The site got the EPA's attention in the 1970s for handling certain chemicals used as coolants and lubricants in electrical and industrial equipment. An EPA inspection found an unlined pond full of this chemical waste, contaminating the soil and groundwater. This area is what's now known as OU1, short for Operable Unit 1 of the Findec Corp Superfund site. The company also reprocessed what are called catalyst chemicals, and that spun off into a separate business next door, the Cadmus Corporation, which is represented as OU2 on this map. To clean up both areas, truckloads of waste and contaminated soil were removed, along with groundwater treatment for the Findette area. EPA Remedial Project Manager J.P. Curry says in their 6th 5-year review, they sampled both areas and the results weren't what they hoped.
They found some pretty high levels of contamination in the soils. And so that is something that we're looking to get addressed and hopefully knock those levels down.
In the report, researchers could not determine the protectiveness of the cleanup in areas 1 and 2.
So that means we just need to collect more data to come up with a protectiveness determination. So it was deferred protectiveness for ecological risk reasons, not for human health risk reasons.
OU3 is the largest of the 4, made up of contaminated groundwater that migrated off the Findette property. Water in this area is the primary source of drinking water for the city of St. Charles, extracted from the Elm Point well field. This contamination so close to the drinking water is what got St. Charles area resident Kara Elms involved.
I think definitely when people use their voice and say, hey, we're here, you are going to affect change. I think previously the people of St. Charles had not been involved, so they largely had ignored us.
The EPA report shows the plume in OU3 is getting even closer to the wells and was listed as short-term protective.
Yeah, it's basically means we're seeing higher levels of contamination than we thought we would 20 years ago still. And so what that means for overall is that the additional work needs to be done in order to get a quicker remedial time frame and bring those cleanup goals and to achieve those cleanup goals quicker than what's currently happening at the site.
That leads us to the latest point of contention, OU4. That's the Ameren-Huster substation, also located next to several of the city's wells in the Elm Point well field. In 2012, the EPA said the substation was separately contributing to contamination in the area, and they entered into an agreement to clean it up. In October of 2022, the city of St. Charles claimed chemicals from the substation were still getting into the wells. Ameren denied it, pointing to their cleanup. But in February of 2023, the EPA once again said Ameren was responsible and required them to do more.
They have completed all of the sampling that we asked them to do as part of the nature and extent of looking at the contaminations. They have done some interim measures out there with injections to try to protect the well field.
Ameren says they do have a plan for continued cleanup, which they hope to start in spring 2026 and would take about 3 years. The city is using Elm Point wells again after installing a special treatment system, but they still have to buy water from St. Louis, and there are still some concerns.
The groundwater in the area, it's like, what if the city stops taking those measures? Could the wells become contaminated? What if EPA stops doing what it's doing? You never know. I guess the number one goal is to keep it safe, but there needs to be a lot more action from EPA and Ameren to ensure that.
There is a public meeting this Thursday from 7 to 9 at the St. Charles Police Department with the APA to go over this very report. They also want feedback and want to answer your questions. We'll have the full report on KSDK.com.
Just hours ago, the St. Charles City Council discussed a plan to beef up fire department staffing by eliminating the city's ambulance service. Now, this does not mean EMS is going to go away entirely. It means paramedics that currently work for St. Charles City would be cross-trained as firefighters. The St. Charles County Ambulance District says people won't see a drop in emergency services, just more skilled responders. If approved, St. Charles City and County would take a phased approach to the transition, but they've not released a timeline.
Fighting funding cuts.
We have to pivot in terms of how are we bringing new rivals into this community.
The changes at the International Institute to attract more immigrants to St. Louis.
After another stormy day today, I'm tracking only spotty storm chances before muggy days are here again. The days it'll feel above 100 degrees.
We are now 100% independent and on our own.
Some exciting news for St. Mary's Catholic High School in St. Louis's Dutchtown neighborhood. 3 years ago, the Archdiocese of St. Louis announced it was closing the school for its new consolidation plan. Well, today, St. Mary's announced that they have purchased its campus from the Archdiocese, and now they're 100% independent. And while staying independent, St. Mary's says they will remain a Catholic school.
A St. Louis organization changes course in order to attract new people to the region. This after the federal government cuts key immigration programs.
Our Justina Cornell sits down with leaders at the International Institute with their plan to move forward.
This is a community that has lost population over the course of many decades. It is really a regional imperative to regrow the region.
To regrow and recruit. It's a plan the International Institute pursues. Operating for over a century, the organization is no stranger to attracting new arrivals to St. Louis.
In the last 5 years, we've had 6,600 arrivals come into the region.
Even with federal funding cuts, the group keeps going. The plan now? To pivot.
We have to pivot in terms of how are we bringing new rivals into this community if refugee resettlement is not available, and that's where our Move to STL program and our Afghan support program really come into play.
The Latino Outreach Program has rebranded. Its new name is Move to STL.
Our Move to STL program is really about promoting St. Louis widely to all different immigrant groups.
We're recruiting Americans in cities that are more expensive than St. Louis and more importantly have a higher unemployment rate. Initially it's like, what's the catch? You know, and then holy smokes, it's so inexpensive to live there.
Carlos Ramirez shines a light on St. Louis as he travels to cities like Los Angeles and Boston.
And I'm sharing with them the cost of living difference, the incentive we may have. We do have a special pool of money for Hispanic Americans and or Asian Americans where we will pay for their first month rent and security deposit. The Hispanic population has been the fastest growing, followed by the Asian population.
The idea to build a strong workforce and economy.
For us, we're really on a strong push to bring employers to work with us so that we can have jobs for them to actually come here and be able to increase our population.
Even with recent changes, the organization's commitment remains on course.
We keep moving on. We lost 60% of our staffing, and this is something that's important to the region, the immigrant population, growing the population. It's something that we're going to need, particularly if we're continuing to try to be a top 20 metro area. And that's why getting more funders for us and getting private funding is so important, because we still have a commitment to these people that call St. Louis home.
Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
And these programs continue through donor support, and one way to give back is by attending their big event, the Festival of Nations. That happens August 23rd and 24th.
Lights, camera, action. The St. Louis region is becoming a gateway to the film and TV industry. It is all thanks to the return of Missouri's motion media tax incentive. In 2023, 2 new productions are being filmed in St. Charles. Directors credit the all-American look and feel of the city.
St. Charles was a great partner. St. Louis Film Office was a great partner to really kind of identify those places that had the look, as well as the places that were willing to give us the locations.
The St. Louis Film Office expects to register at least 40 new projects in the coming year, generating jobs and tourism dollars to the region.
Meteorologist Jim Castillo joins us now with the weather impact forecast all day. We've been talking about the showers and the storms. There's another shower I know you're watching, Jim, but it's about meteors.
Very good. You saw me stick that in there and slip it in. I almost passed it up, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, the Perseid meteor shower, if it clears tonight, so it's peaking. Again, this is the 12th into the 13th, but again, you might be able to catch a few. Best viewing midnight till dawn, and we're fighting that bright moonlight that was full a couple of days ago and the cloud cover from those showers that were out and about. But Paul sent this in. He had a great picture on Sunday with the storms that hit us Sunday. And again, Washington, Missouri, lightning and thunder, very heavy rain. And even at the airport, about 0.14 of an inch of rainfall, but it's nice now, good flying weather. Any lightning, I've seen it right here, Kentucky, Tennessee, and into Indiana. And that's where all the storm activity is. Let's zoom into our area. A few lingering showers, zoom in a little bit more here near Rolla. Maybe a lightning strike down there in Phelps County. Oak Hill, there's one right there, a lightning strike. But Oak Hill, again, a couple isolated showers out there, maybe a rumble of thunder. Here comes a cold front. Yes, it will pass through here as we get into tomorrow, and then only a spotty rain chance. So it looks mainly dry, nothing like what we had Sunday or today. So 87 for that high, a northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. And then as we head into the futurecast, there it is, a little bit of green popping up here. Most areas, just an isolated shower or storm. Right now, though, not as steamy at 77. Feels like 79, though, with that humidity at 80%, and that dew point is about 70. But heat is coming back into play here. High heat and high humidity. We'll see if we get a heat advisory. It's going to be probably Saturday or Sunday if that happens. But Friday through Monday, that heat index 98 to 105. And let's go day by day here. Friday about 99 in St. Louis at 3 o'clock. Then you get into Saturday 106. If this is the case, there may be a heat advisory for at least the metro. And then as we get into Sunday about 105, topping out of the heat index there at 103 as we get into Sunday. All right, so high pressure definitely building into the area. When you see this pink on here, there you go. It's coming back, but it does cool off after we get into past the 7-day forecast. We'll see a lot of 80s. Maybe I'll show you the 10-day here coming up. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, plenty of sunshine. 97 Saturday, 97 on Sunday. Here's the 10-day, 80s by next week, and only spotty rain chances. So I think the widespread rain and storms are over for a bit.
Okay. I keep focusing on that 97 to 95.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
Pool,
All right.
pool weather.
Yeah, that's true.
Jim, thanks. Now, earlier tonight, Frank Cusimano said he felt really good about the Cardinals' chances against the Rockies tonight. Last time he said that, they played the Pirates and got swept in Pittsburgh. How did it go tonight, Frankie?
You feel good about the Cardinals losing? Do you, Mike?
Oh,
No,
you jinxed
I
them.
just think
Can
maybe
the
you shouldn't
Cardinals
say
keep
such
the
things.
mojo going? Does Mizzou have a tight end who could be special? And you won't believe what a former Mizzou basketball star said on a podcast today. Stick around, please. Tonight is Exhibit A on why you don't bet on baseball. The Rockies win 25% of their games. They began the night a mere 58 games under 500. They'd lost 8 in a row. The Cardinals were on a nice roll with a lot to play for, and then we play the game. Matthew Liberatore struck out the side in the first, and he was perfect for 3 innings. In the fourth, though, Hunter Goodman unloads. Big Macland, 442 feet, and the Rockies led it 2-0. Same inning, and watch Victor Scott II make another tremendous catch in center. Kyle Freeland, with an ERA in the 5s, threw a shutout for 7 1/3. 2 shutouts for Colorado all season long, and both against the Cardinals. Rockies win 3-0.
I don't think he should be able to get through our lineup the way he did and be that effective. So I'll start with that. I would have put money on us doing a lot more damage against him. But at the same time, to throw 7 1/3 with 2 punch-outs and no runs, a lot has to go your way. So I do feel like we took some pretty good swings.
Mizzou continued their training camp today, and they have a tight end who has all of the physical gifts to be really special. As our Corey Miller reports from Columbia, it's all about health for Brett Norfleet.
Much like the end zone here at Memorial Stadium, the 2025 Missouri Tigers are still under construction. One of their most important pieces will be tight end Brett Norfleet. Norfleet's talent is apparent, but injuries have hurt his impact. He's looking to change that in 2025.
My first catch of last year, damn shame, because that happened, and then I was in the training room almost every day, just trying to stay on the field. But yeah, it's kind of learning, not to always lower my shoulder, maybe use my offhand as a stiff arm, maybe stick a foot in the ground.
What were some of the trainers saying about some of those hurdles?
I think that just kind of happened because every time I caught the ball, I was always worried that I was going to hit it. At some point, I just kind of thought, hey, I'm just going to jump over every single guy. I'm super happy with where I am. I do got to take some more steps. But yeah, I'm real comfortable with where I'm at.
Still to be determined who Norfleet will be catching passes from. Sam Horn and Bo Pribula are still battling out for the starting quarterback job. Reporting in Columbia, I'm Corey Miller, 5 on Your Side Sports.
Thank you, Corey. Do you remember the saga of Jonte Porter? The former Mizzou star was banned for life from the NBA. An investigation revealed that he violated the league's gambling rules. He disclosed confidential information to sports bettors on the games he played, and those bettors won a sizable amount of money. Well, today, his brother Michael, a star in the NBA, had this to say on a podcast about gambling.
But think about if you could get all your homies rich by telling them, yo, bet $10,000 on my under, this one game I'm gonna act like I got an injury and I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna come out after 3 minutes, and they all get a little bag because you did it one game. Like, that is so not okay. But some people probably think like that. They come from nothing, and 100%. All their homies have nothing. 100%. And they're like, bro, if I come out of this game after 3 minutes and y'all all hit on my under, we're all getting a little bag.
We all love candor in sports, and Michael did say it was not okay to gamble. But I got to tell you, if my brother just became the first NBA player in history to be kicked out of the league for gambling, I probably stay away from all gambling comments. And if you're an NBA player, why would you risk your career to make some side money? That's Frankly Speaking for tonight, and we'll be right back.
Washington University received high honors in the Princeton Review's Best Colleges book. WashU was voted to have the best college dorms and best quality of life. The university also rated highly for their entrepreneurship programs, getting the top rank in the Midwest undergrad category. The Princeton Review used survey questions given to 170,000 students enrolled at more than 300 schools across the country.
3 lucky St. Louis area lottery players took home a combined $5 million. The Missouri Lottery says a $3 million ticket was sold at a Quick Trip on Big Bend Boulevard. A $2 million ticket was sold at a Schnucks on Clayton, and a $100,000 scratcher was sold at Circle K on Union Road. Don't try to win the Powerball, though, because Kelly's got that locked up.
Yes, I do, so don't even try.
Will we see you the next day after?
No, you would not.
You would retire.
Jim has a final check of the weather impact for you.
Hopefully you'd call us, though. Okay.
Don't count on it.
Don't count on it. All right.
Turks and
Temperatures
Caicos.
tomorrow, 87. Not bad, right? 87 also Thursday. And really, we're not going to see widespread storms like we had on Sunday or today. And then as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it just gets really hot and humid, highs in the 90s.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 5 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.